One sec, I'm almost there. Okay, I'm live on my
I think it's a
channel as well.
perfect English podcast to start with talking about the weather.
Yeah, yeah, we love talking about the weather here. It's always a great opener, really. I'll tell you what is a good opener, actually, and so I'm live now too. Welcome to this Track Feedback Livestream with me and Groovin in G. This is a Patreon only special. But I tell you what happened to me today, or I work near to where Ozzy Osbourne's cortege proceeded through the streets of Birmingham, so I went to go and see that. That was pretty far out.
Did it bring a lot of people out?
Yeah, tens of thousands. It was absolutely packed. Yeah, it was absolutely packed.
He was quite loved in the end, wasn't he? Actually.
Yeah. Like I'm a big Black Sabbath fan, big Ozzy Osbourne fan. Like his solo stuff as well.
It was kind of awesome. He got to do one last show, didn't he? A couple of weeks ago.
It was like a couple of weeks ago. I could hear the fireworks and everything. It was it was great. And like Metallica were there, Slayer, Pantera, all these huge metal bands, and it was a massive deal for Birmingham. And then he died like 2 weeks later. So no, it was good. It was surreal, to be honest.
That's quite a rock and roll sort of exit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But so that's what happened to me today, and the weather was nice for that. So big up Birmingham.
Yeah, big up Ozzy Osbourne.
R.I.P. So should we get started?
Yeah, let's rock and roll. I've got a few people. Welcome everyone to the live stream. It will just sort of build as we go.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's a bit hard to hear. So you're a bit quiet on my. I think that's me. I need to turn up my levels somewhere.
Test 1 2. Sparchaeopteryx, big up.
I wonder if I can turn this up. I could turn me down and turn the whole thing down overall, potentially. If I go
can test.
8. Okay, then that might be good now. Overall.
Yeah, I think the volume. I'm getting a good volume on my side.
Yeah, I think I just had to match mine a little bit more, so our voices at the same level.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Hey Daniel, hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. We're just about to get going with some of these tunes.
Yeah, can you still hear this, George? Because I've just changed something. No. Okay, cool. That's fine. Probably because I messed with that. 1 sec.
It's usually got to go through that Zoom.
Yeah, man.
Device, doesn't it?
I've just that's what I changed. So let's give this a listen.
Yeah.
Yep, getting that. Nice, cool. Okay. All right. So I'll give a bit of context first. This is this is just like a Patreon only feedback stream from patrons on George's Patreon and my Patreon as well, and we've done these before for just general audience, but as part of it, we asked for a little bit of some notes on the tune. So I've got those here, George. Shall I read them out? From
definitely.
Yeah. So this is from Distant Lands. Track is called Vertical World. Hi, Alex and George. Going for a retro futuristic vibe here. If there is such a thing, I'd say it definitely is. Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Spent a long time in the breaks to try and keep them interesting and evolving, hopefully without losing the flow. Always a fine line though. So sound good, George?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Let's roll.
Oh, that was fire.
Yes.
What a track to start on.
That was oh, what have we got now? Sorry, skip through. Yeah, absolutely. I think like that is the third Distant Lands tune I've heard on like one of these track feedback streams, and like the progression is remarkable actually from the last work in progress that they submitted for the last time I did a track feedback live stream. Yeah, it sounds like so much progression between them.
Really good, like technical skill. Like there, I had made so many notes of all the break chopping techniques that he was using.
Yeah.
It's literally like everything, like velocity rolls, gating, break swapping, filter sweeps, break layering. There was delay throws, all the sort of gating tricks he was doing. So it was like it's cool to see someone who can not only get really good rolling breaks that sort of tell a story, but also just like all the little sort of tricks and yeah, there's a real art to sort of programming your breaks in that way.
Yeah. I think like and mission totally complete for what Distant Lands was after. Yeah, I thought the breaks were really they had like good phrasing and everything like that, if you know what I mean. Sometimes it can be easy to go a bit too heavy-handed with the chops and stuff like that, and you lose a sense of like flow and groove, I suppose. So like maintaining that balance between groove and interest can be a fine one to strike sometimes.
Yeah,
I think achieved.
I agree. And maybe what works really well on that track is the sort of the texture and the pads are filling in a lot of the background, but then the breaks are really like telling the story and doing take your ears just following that the whole time. They're not really competing with anything too much, which I think allows them to be, you know, to do so many tricks and stuff. Is it can get a bit too complex when there's lots of other competing elements.
Yeah. For sure, it was like it had a nice sense of space.
Yeah.
And I really liked all the pad sounds and stuff that were happening, and the sample in the middle worked really well. I seem to remember Distant Lands has got some pretty good sample choices in other tunes. I think there was a Lord of the Rings one in the first ever one, so that they submitted. But yeah, nailed it. I think if I could give like one bit of feedback, it might be like cutting the bass at some points. I thought like maybe some of the drops and stuff might benefit from just taking the bass out before they happened, because it was kind of all the way through. I don't know if you picked up on that as well, but
yeah, you create a bit more like a leap in energy, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I always really just having like a jungly rainforest background texture sort of makes these tracks a lot of the time.
Yeah.
If people are missing, you know, if you're doing sort of a track like this, which is pads and drums mostly with like an 8 or an 8 bass, the texture is actually a really important element as well to get in there.
Yeah, for sure. Like a feeling of it just adds to like the immersion of the listen, doesn't it? Really, and it can be really subtle, these things. But yeah, win for me, that one. I thought that was brilliant and real
awesome
progression.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, shall we move?
Yeah, let's go. Round two.
Press on. Okay, cool. I like this because we always end up chatting and then just like. Okay, I've got some notes on this one then. So this is that Beyond. So it's actually the track's called Beyond the Magenta Line. Oh, sparchaeopteryx. This is you. Oh, good to have a track from you. Sparchaeopteryx is in my chat. Don't know if they're on yours, George, as well. So just read. This whip track is an attempt to keep it simple and atmospheric. I'm trying to build a cohesive piece with enough variety to maintain listener interest without going overboard and becoming distracting. Still learning, happy to hear your thoughts as ever. So kind of parallels with the first with Distant Lands, George, as well, in aspirations for this tune.
Yeah, I feel like with our combined forces, we're going to be on this sort of futuristic jungle is a lot of what the...
Yeah, that's what we're about, really, isn't it? Well, certainly make a lot of.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. So this is Beyond the Magenta Line. Work in progress, I should say.
say there's nothing to chaos theory?
Yes, very nice.
Had a really sort of
4 a.m.
Sorry. I don't know. I wish I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, is it got a roll-on feature on?
Yeah, probably. It's just like I'm always wary of menu diving live on air, as it were.
I know what you mean. Okay,
But yeah, I'm sure it has. I'm sure it like turned it off last time. Like, what's this? Has it got it in this or something?
Next up. Autoplay. Oh, there you go. Autoplay station.
Turn off,
is that maybe that's doing it?
Irrelated track space. No, I think that's good. That was on with the orange on, I reckon.
Yeah, that might be the one.
All right. Okay. Sorry, George. What were you saying?
It had a very optimistic and sort of hopeful.
Yeah. It sounded mystical, didn't it, to me?
Yeah, definitely.
It kind of like had a bit of a kind of like 90s new age flavour to it. I thought the chords in there.
Yeah.
The
chords were really awesome actually. Because when you hear them come back, they're quite a satisfying sort of piece of element in the track.
I thought they were like one thing I wrote down was like when the pad was really quite emotive, and when it dropped out, that was quite a powerful thing to do, just to kind of take it out, and because then when it did come back in again, it was almost giving me like Future Sound of London vibes, like Papua New Guinea or something like that. It had this like kind of vocal call as well going on. Don't know if you picked that up on. That was pretty cool.
The sample selection was really good, or just all the little bits. It has like I was thinking about what I was going to say, but you sort of have the drums and the pads like filling up a lot of the space, but it has these like sweeping sort of phasey elements that were coming in and out.
Yeah.
And then a little like watery effects every now and again. All those little touches actually make a massive difference to kind of selling the idea, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like the immersion, the world, the story. I think like, sometimes you really want it to be like hypnotic, and sometimes you want. I thought like one thing that could be explored more in this was like, you've got like these 16 bar sections, about 32, but the building blocks of kind of dance music, if you like, or a lot of music, but just really highlighting those, because I think it would be really quite powerful in this tune to help maintain that sense of like drama. Things build almost like a wave of things, and I know this is something you do in your music all the time, and certainly something I try to instill as well. That feeling of like building and releasing, like tension and release all the way throughout the tune. And I think that's definitely something to focus on.
Yeah, little drum fills every now and again would have helped that, and filter sweeps and sort of bringing elements down, even if you're just going to reintroduce them again or layer them or whatever it is. You don't always have to come up with a whole new sort of idea. You can just build on top of what you're doing already. For sure. You can just work within the confines of the material you've already got in the tune. And like I like to put that restriction in place for myself, usually when I feel like I've got too much going on. Is that I don't need to add anything else. I just need to kind of mess around with the sounds I've got in the project already. Yeah, but sometimes it's so hard to do when it's your own music, to like listen to it like we are here, and just to pick, because you always listen to all the little problems, but you never just think about like the arc of a tune as a whole, which is actually the most important thing almost to think about. Yeah, totally. But I thought that was like a compelling listen throughout actually, and just looking back at what Sparchaeopteryx said, keep it simple and atmospheric. I think it definitely delivered that. I'm trying to build a cohesive piece with enough variety to maintain listener interest. I think just really maybe digging into what we were just saying a bit more would really help do that. You're not adding too many new sounds, but you're manipulating what you've already got in the tune. Yeah, definitely. I think it was probably sort of 70% there, wasn't it, as a work in progress. It just needed a few little sort of touches. Yeah. But cool. That was Sparchaeopteryx, Beyond the Magenta Line. I know Sparchaeopteryx is in my chat. Anything? You got anything to add? Just put it in. Put it in the chat. Moving on. Onwards we go.
Yeah, cool. So we got something different now. We got a live set. Oh, I don't know if we've had a live set. So we've got so this is we've got a 13-minute thing here from RJ Macready. What do you want to do? Do you want to do that now, or should we press on with the tunes and maybe if we can get to this a bit later just because it's quite long, or do you want to listen to some of it?
Why don't we, because the last one was about 5.5 minutes, maybe we listen to sort of 5.5 minutes of this.
Yeah.
You can always like click through a little bit, you know, and just see kind of, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I know RJ Macready well, and like I think anyone who like he had a set on the Ned Rush takeover for More Kicks Than Friends. So, and I know he's like keen to do a live performance. So maybe we could feedback a little bit on the on how that's unfolding. And he's
definitely. This is more your world than mine.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe,
stuff,
yeah. I know you want to get into this as well, though. So
now I've got the digitact, I'm starting to feel more confident that
man.
I might one day be able to step back in the live world.
Okay, so he said trying to get ideas to liven it up a bit. Feel free to not play it at all. Well, we're going to give it a go, RJ Macready. So this is just a live set thing. We'll play a bit of it. Maybe skip through. Give me a shout, George, if you want me to skip. You know, any point. Get rid of my suggestions inside. So RJ Macready's using a tracker here, George.
I guess it's the M8.
Yeah. We'll talk about it afterwards. But.
see how it progresses in like the second sort of.
Yeah, man, we could stop at about 5, yeah?
Yeah, I would say if you skip through and see how it kind of develops,
cool. Let's
like the
go.
halfway point or the,
Yeah. Give it another minute and a half, George, shall we?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, man. Wow. I mean, like, so I've heard that in various iterations, and that has improved remarkably. But interested to know your thoughts on it, George. Like, seeing it for the first time, seeing the setup and stuff, what you can of it.
Like, I love the glitchy, skippy drums, and all the rhythms were your ear was like constantly engaged the whole time you were listening to that.
Yeah. Like,
and do you know what? Actually, one of the biggest things to me, which maybe is a little bit of feedback, but when that first bass came in, I almost wanted it to be like 6 dB louder or something.
Yeah.
And more stripped back and just have like a huge, like just the bass and the drums would have given it so much impact there.
Yeah.
Because it was such a cool idea. It was actually just maybe in the mixing a little bit, but overall it was really well done.
Yeah. I think it's really impressive. I know that RJ Macready does it all on that tracker. Everything is on the tracker. There's like no additional parts and stuff. I think a lot of it is like maybe it's loops or stuff in the tracker, but this is really your area of expertise a bit more. He's kind of triggering all that stuff live. So
yeah, it's really hard to do because Ableton's amazing for that, but actually on a tracker, I'd love to see what he was doing on the M8 because you can kind of, but I guess you're just like triggering different patterns, aren't you? In that kind of
it's a bit like I think you could do it on all trackers, can't you? Can they do like a live mode or a loop mode, like a live mode thing? I don't know.
I think you can do that thing where you have like it quantizes the patterns when you trigger them early. It sort of locks it into the
so that's comparable, but really, I thought I thought the ideas were bang on, and I agree with what you said. And I think my bit of feedback would be, I think RJ is preparing this for like a small live performance at like an open electronic mic night, and you can let the tracks breathe a bit more. I'm always saying this to him, but like take your time before the drops and stuff. Build it up and let people groove to strip back stuff. Cool. So we'll press on, shall we, George?
Yeah, it's hard to do that with a live performance, isn't it? Because you want to be like in the groove the whole time. Then actually going back to just pads or like just drums and bass and effects are always cool to split up the sort of main kind of rhythms.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like time passes about like by a factor of 10 when you're playing live, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you've had this DJing, where you're just like, how long have I been playing for? Oh, like 10 seconds, and it feels like, time does funny things when you're in the moment with a live performance, and you think something's been going on for ages, but it's been 10 seconds or whatever.
Because you're tweaking a filter, and you're like, I'm focusing on this one thing, and actually I need to plan all the next steps and get everything sequenced right. And
and like you want to like. It's like letting the tracks breathe a bit. I think when you're playing live is a really good thing, and I do it all the time when I'm playing live. I bring things in too quick because I get like trigger finger, itchy trigger finger.
Yeah. The anticipation is important, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. It's like a DJ set, really. You know, you got to like try and build it, let things roll out and stuff, and like just keep your triggers sparse and stuff. That's what I always try and do.
Yeah. Well, I think he's got the grounds for a really awesome live set with a few. I mean, it's all there, like all the elements. It's just that final bit of tweaking it, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, and like all that balance stuff comes into play when you're actually out on a system, and you can adjust it on the day you need to, really, because yeah. But nice work, RJ Macready.
Awesome.
So we're on to Elkie. This is Elkie Halcyon. So, if I may, George, got a bit of background to this.
Far away.
Yeah, so Elkie is he's a joint patron for both you and me, and I know him personally. Actually, he like runs the listening sessions here in Birmingham. I think I've mentioned it a few times to you and stuff. Mentioned it on stream. It's like a producer showcase where you can take your tunes and hear them out on a big system.
Yeah.
That's cool. He's also a pretty sick producer in his own right, although I think he would say that he probably doesn't finish as much music as he'd like to. But I think this is a release tune of his that I've got here that was out on Western Law. So
yeah, I feel like I know a few people that have had stuff out on Western Law.
Yeah, like
maybe someone was telling me about this the other day.
Yeah. But it's Dead Man's Chest.
Yeah,
chess label, and like has done Sully and Coco Bryce and stuff like that. And my MIDI controller keyboard is actually Elkie's that I've had just forever. So cheers, Elkie. Well, so this is a tune called Halcyon. Literally the only notes he's put is "You Know Me." So let's give it a spin. Just might take a second.
It's a bit weird, this player, sometimes. I find. Yeah, sometimes you have to download them.
Okay. I'll do that.
Oh, it's nice going. Nice. It's just slow.
I'm going to play in iTunes now. Actually, I don't know if I do know this one. This is new. Okay, yeah, Halcyon. Nice. Nice space. Nice space.
Mm. They're called like Ice Smash at the end there.
Yeah. Very nice. That was Elkie Halcyon, version 0.5. What are we saying on that one, George? Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, it had a real sort of classic old school jungle feel to it, didn't it? It was simple. Like the elements used were simple. There was like a pad, an arp, bass, like a sort of rolling breaks, and a few little like classic effects.
Yeah,
but it wasn't too complicated, but it was executed really well.
Yeah, agreed. I really liked the drop. I thought that was
the silence.
That's so. I love it when stuff like, because things like that work so well in a club. You know, when you go down to nothing, and the little clap. I thought,
really satisfying.
Yeah. That was a nice trick. In fact, like, I've stolen things from Elkie in my own tunes, because he did something similar with like a cowbell in that release that I was talking about, which isn't this tune. It's called Holocene. That was the track I couldn't remember. Holocene on I think that might have been Ghost Nose, actually. So sorry, I'm getting confused. But like the Western Lawn one was Crazy Music. That was the tune. Anyway, this nice little way of adding something fresh to a drop that isn't just like a snare roll or something. Really tasteful, I thought that was. I know it's a tiny detail, but
no, when you hear something like that, you actually have to put it in your own productions. Like, you can make a note of it and then add it to your next track, and then it's like in your psyche. Otherwise, you just never do it. You never take on the sort of skill.
Yeah. And I loved the sample. Thought it was really cool. I love the like compelling, resonant kind of portamento synth that was going on, the like FM sounding one.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that Elkie could delay that coming in a little bit after the first drop, maybe, and just have I thought the bass and the breaks would be enough. And I like the way it was doing that waves thing. You know, there was an arc to things going up and down, and kind of the tension building at the end of every 8 bars and every 16 bars. I thought that was achieved really well.
Yeah, a couple of little shimmery layers were in there, like in the background, and
like dolphin noises. Really, I reckon. I heard. Yeah, that was. I thought maybe like the bass could go a bit lower. Do you know what I mean? It was quite high register for a lot of it. It occasionally dropped down, but maybe that was Elkie's intention. I don't know what you thought about that, George.
You get more of like a chesty thump when you take it down. Also, maybe you have like a longer note and you pitch it way down an octave.
Yeah.
And then I thought maybe the breaks were a little bit slammed, like just a little bit too distorted. Maybe that when you listen to the whole track, like it hits really hard, but then like over the course of it, you're like, oh, if it was like 20% less distortion, I think it would be just a little bit better for like your ear fatigue or
Yeah,
like, in
yeah,
the club,
yeah.
you know.
It sounded like, and like Elkie may be able to like confirm this, but you know, like the RX 950, it's got that brilliance control
Yes.
that's in the menu, and if you boost that too much, it can make things a bit piercing, or
it's
a
like
bit fatiguing.
when you drive the input and pull down the output on that one, don't you?
Yeah. And like you jump into you dive into the menu, and it's got this brilliance knob, which is set at 50% anyway, I think. And if you push that a bit, it can make things sound really like
it's like a resonant
bright
boost to the top end, isn't it? Or something
and
like that.
it is not. It's a nice effect, but like I definitely have overused it myself in releases. When I listen back to them, I'm like, there was too much brilliance on the RX 950.
Yeah, because you almost stop hearing things like that when you're producing them because your ears just get used to it, don't they?
I think your ears like cramp up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It would make it, especially making songs like this, which are sort of hard hitting tracks. Your ears get, after sort of 15 minutes, you can keep producing, but it's hard to make mixing decisions and things like that.
Of course. And it sounds like this is like a whip as well from Elkie. So,
yeah. These tracks have been so good so far. Everyone we've had has been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to all the producers. And I always promise to put titles and stuff in the description, and I will do that. Because sometimes, life gets in the way, and then you forget to add in the artist names. But that was Elkie Halcyon. Definitely check out the release on Western Law. And great to hear a work in progress from you, Elkie. Just saying that personal. So, all right, cool. Should we press on?
Yeah, let's do it.
So close these. We're on to Celeron Dream by Germes or Germes. Not sure on the pronunciation. I've got some notes here, George, if I may.
Far away.
Okay. It's my first finished track ever. It is made and rendered on Dirty Wave M8 using George's mega awesome Heart Think Break instrument.
Nice.
Big up that.
I was hoping someone was going to make a track with one of these break instruments.
Yeah, it did look. I was even thinking of downloading Renoise again so I could use it. And do you know what? I had a dream that you'd made one that it would work in Ableton.
No, it's not a dream, it's reality.
Is it?
I transferred or translated.
Did you send it to me?
Did you? Them. Maybe we're on the same brave-wave, and your dream was what was happening. When
did you tell me about that, or did
I don't know if I did tell you.
That's strange.
That's bizarre.
That is bizarre.
This is what we dream about as music producers. I dream in Renoise in hex code most of the time now.
Yeah, I had a dream that I could open it and it worked fine in like Sampler or something.
Yeah, so I converted them to Sampler and Drum Rack and Bitwig and Akai formats and Digitac now. I'm trying to do it to like every different kind of sampler and DAW.
Are they out yet, or it's
they're on the Patreon, so you can just download them from the links.
Man, maybe I saw it before I dreamt it.
Yeah.
Okay, Future World Machine said mixing jungle is hard. There's lots of mid-range clashing. Yeah, a lot of the time it's quite sparse in that area. The mid-range. Yeah.
When you listen to those old tracks by Source Direct and whatever, they're so scooped in the mid-range to make space for the drums and the bass. It's like I always find you want to have a thick, warm pad because it sounds really nice. But if you try and have that and an amen break and like a big bass, you just have no space to make it all work.
Yeah, for sure. It can easily get crowded then. Sometimes that works and it can sound like quite wall of soundy.
Yeah.
But cool. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted there about that dream, which is in fact is reality. It's back to this comment. So big up the Think Break instrument for George. It's quite a simple track, but it was important for me to release it before I drowned too much into production and didn't release at all. I think we all relate to that. I've definitely worked tracks to death and then never done anything with them. I'm sure that you're the same, George.
Yeah, I actually did a Patreon post this month about finishing more music and
I read
just
it.
the pitfalls you fall into, and we're all, perfectionists, and we all have OCDs, which it's just probably the thing I get asked the most about, and is the biggest problem people face is finishing music. So it's something everyone struggles with.
Yeah.
And they're all producers at all levels. Even when you hear, there was a YouTube thing of like Danny Bird and all these other sort of drum and bass artists talking about it recently. I saw.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the same boat. You just have
man,
to.
I think whether you're making jungle, or whether you're in a band, or whether you're a writer, or you're a director, or you are a photographer, or any creative pursuit, that it's universal to the creative process, I think.
Definitely. Maybe that's why some duos work really well, because you have someone who's more creative, and then you have someone that can kind of step back from the project and see it as a whole more, and just get things done a little easier.
Yeah, for sure. I find that hard equally to be in a dynamic like that.
Yeah, you almost have to swap out of the production phase and be like, I'm going to make some just sort of big decisions about this track in the next 2 hours that are going to finish it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I definitely have gotten better at that as I've got more experience, but I still regularly am just like, do you know, I can almost take a step back and like, a bit like we're talking about, I could take a step back and just feel I'm so exhausted with this version of myself. Do you know what I mean? Like with the perfectionist, this needs doing and stuff. I get tired of myself, and even then it can be hard to kind of say to let it go. Do you know what I mean? You kind of end up indulging the doubting part of your mind more.
Yeah, you can set deadlines and then you start pushing them. And I often end up with like final version 16.3 because I've just kept exporting over and over again, making one tweak to something no one's ever going to notice.
Yeah. And this is I'm exactly the same. And like the only thing that really works is when there's someone else telling me I've got to do it for this deadline. And I recognise that about myself now. And it's only taken me 30 years to get there.
Wrapping things up in a project with like a specific focus and a timeline, and you have 2 days for the production, and then once you've had those 2 days, then you have to move on to the next phase and really force yourself to stick to it is a great way of just not getting stuck endlessly.
Yeah.
Not progressing with tracks,
Yeah, for sure. There's I feel there's lots of different strategies to approach it. And sometimes they don't work as well. That's the thing, isn't it? It's almost every tune requires a different approach, actually, mentally.
Anyone selling you like a finish more music, a help sheet, which promises to get you through this problem with like 5 simple strategies, it's not the case. Yeah. There's lots of tools you can use to help you, but it's there's no one answer to this problem.
No, I think it's because it's only you can walk that road.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Sure.
Unfortunately, you have to go it on your own to an extent. You can hear it's nice that everyone is in the same boat, but there's only one person that can make that journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not everyone can give you answers about what you need to do next. It's down to you. But just need to stop thinking about it so much and just do it. I think that's often what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Just from my chat, Newtype said, I think that's one of the main benefits of doing things like this. Having others listen to your tunes with different ears gives you a fresh perspective. So true.
Yeah, James Barles. Oh, hello, mate. He said, I believe they say that perfection is the enemy of good enough.
Yeah, so true. Okay, well, on that note, should we listen to this one then? Celeron Dream. Nice title. I like that. Go.
Если все это сон, тогда кто-то очень подробно его сгенерировал. Сон о том, как думает алгоритм, если ему приснилось, что он живет, грустный и затянутый. Грустный и затянутый. Сон о том, как думает алгоритм.
Yes,
Nice.
very nice.
Just making one more little note. Yeah, maybe you start with this one.
Yeah, cool. So that kind of reminded me, like, I really like, you know, I sometimes like these tunes which are like subverting the form a little bit. Where like, you know, the break was quite distant.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was necessarily intentional or not. I liked the minimalism. I liked I like the pattern that was unfolding, and I really like the pad just kind of washing in and out with the kind of the rolling bass line.
It kind of lulled you in as you were listening to it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was almost like wanting more, but then I started to enjoy it more and more as it just kept rolling. I mean, the pad was so lovely in there.
Yeah.
To have such a like warm, lush pad with just enough sort of movement and hiss and all the things that kind of make pads sound awesome.
It's got like a fizz and a juice to it, like a
breath. The fizz is
breathy.
Cool.
Yeah, breathy. And, it's almost like ASMR. I find when pads are of that quality. And yeah, it kind of had that like lo-fi, intentionally distant, like almost like art jungle flavor to it. Like it was
very PS1 sort of.
Yeah. Like totally, exactly. That's the kind
like
of
poly jungle. Is that a thing?
Low poly jungle?
Yeah.
Low res.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a good tune by Slacker, the producer Slacker, called Amen to the Lonely. It's quite old now, but I think it was like when like jungle was having a resurgence again right at the beginning. And that's a really good tune. It kind of reminded me of that a bit, in that it was, you know, different, really different. So I guess the only point I would feed back on that was some of the notes in the kind of panpipes section, or the panpipe part, were maybe the notes could be adjusted. They sounded a little bit too out of key to me, but
yeah,
maybe that's intentional.
I know what you mean. They were maybe a little bit dissonant. I also, on the point you started on talking about the drums, because they were a little bit sort of back in the mix and maybe quite reverby, you could have actually just sort of pushed them forwards and taken the reverb off and had a more like a section with them back and then a section with them pushed forwards a bit.
Nice.
To sort of create a bit of interest.
Nice. Yeah, I love stuff like that where there's like a real sense of changing space.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're listening to that and you're like, you feel like you're in one space and then suddenly you move into like everything. That's something I love hearing in music actually, is when the artist like plays with my perceptions in that way. And I think it's something I'd love to hear more from people actually. It's like, there's so much you can do with a sense of where the music is, where the elements are in the space. Because
reverb and level push things forwards and backwards in space, so you can use both of them, and obviously taking away the frequencies as well. They're all ways to let's push things further away from your ear and make them sound in the distance. Like it's cool to like swap them around every now and again.
Totally. And I love hearing that, and I love this sound of like, it's something, a three-dimensional thing that you experience in time. Really, it is like a four-dimensional thing if you have like an abstract view of like the musical parts unfolding, and it's really great when people mess with that. In my mind, I don't know if it's not necessarily the easiest analogy, but
no, it makes sense. It's kind of like going to silence against having something really full. It's that contrasting elements, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I thought that was really good.
For your first
nice idea.
Tune released, it was an amazing effort, because I've made some terrible. The first tunes I were finishing were not nearly that good. So
no, I've made some shockers before. I can't listen back to them, but that's natural. Do you know what I mean? I think it would be there'd be no progression then. You wouldn't want to carry on really if you were like, there's some stuff where you do listen back and think, I'm happy with that.
I often think there's potential in almost all the music I hear or I've made in the past. I just never could quite realise whatever it is, which I'm getting better at now. And I think that's the same for lots of people. Yeah.
And I think sometimes like what it ended up being, that was what it was meant to be. It was never meant to be a finished thing. It was meant to be an idea or something. I've just got a couple of points in the chat. Loathe myself on Twitch. We are doing feedback, but it's closed now, I'm afraid. Just keep an eye on my YouTube and George's YouTube for when we next do these. Yeah, someone's saying about M8 Tracker Gang Assemble. Yeah, it's good to hear two M8 tunes, the M8 things.
I wonder if the M8's got a bit of a sound, like a low quality sound to it, or can you reduce the bit rate?
I think it does. Yeah, like RJ Macready, you could answer that. Does the M8 have what's the like sample rate and stuff in it? I'm sure we've spoken about that in the past. But yeah, cool. Should we press on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So okay, next tune is Prototype tCORPSE. Oh, is this? This is another M8 one. Wow. Okay. Although this track was mastered by a third party, I still feel like the mixing I did has a large room for improvement. That's good. Mixing question. Any tips on how to keep the sounds isolated in the frequency range, particularly when there are a multitude, would be welcome, as well as how to add punch to tracks. So, got that, George?
Yeah. Punch and mixing.
Okay.
What I love about breakcore is you just never know where the tracks are going to go.
Yeah, they make. Sometimes I'm literally like smiling with glee as to how like comprehending the music happen. Do you know what I mean? It makes me feel
it's
like
a lot
giddy.
of breaking all the rules and the structure and whatever it is, traditional pop music of going from like a verse to a chorus. It all just gets thrown out the window.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
fun to listen to, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. It's like I think I've heard brain floss. I've heard it described as. I think Aphex Twin actually said that, but like,
yeah,
yeah. I thought that was expertly realised. I mean, in like, shall I go first, George? Shall I carry on?
Yeah, you go first. Yeah.
So, yeah, I love a bit of breakcore and IDM and stuff like this, and whenever I listen to it, I'm always just a bit like, how on earth has Prototype made this on a M8 or a Polyend or whatever? Maybe it's all just in a tracker somehow. Maybe it's renoise too. They don't say, but like, I really like the kind of the contrasting sections and like that the kind of having it acid section, or like having it kind of really fast bass section, and the breaks. Like from a mix perspective, I thought it sounded solid. You know.
Yeah. I thought the mix balance in the different sections I thought was actually really good. But the only thing that maybe could have been improved was it was like jumping quite a lot, and certain elements were just really loud compared to the previous section. So it wasn't as much. It was like I guess that's in the mix of the overall track rather than the actual balancing of the sort of elements in each section.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like with something like this, it must be very hard to mix stuff like this.
I think it's almost velocity, isn't it, on a tracker like that? You just got to come in and turn each element down a little bit.
Yeah, and that would definitely be your area of expertise rather than mine. But like,
it's definitely tricky, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would like if I was gonna, like, honestly, my approach to mixing is often like I give it my best shot with all the skills I have to hand and do, you know, but often I've kind of it's all just felt and instinctive as I'm going along, and really I just hope for the best.
Yeah, I do reference a little bit other people. Like I find a song that I really like, so maybe in this case Aphex Twin or something like that,
Square Pusher kind of things.
Yeah, Square Pusher, and just see how, you know, what they're doing in bit to bit, and just like there's a really good tool called Adapt AB by Plugin Alliance.
Okay.
And you can swap from sort of your version to their version and just hear them side by side at the same level and level balance them.
Yeah, that's
basically the trick.
There was a plugin called from Sample Magic, which was like called AB or something, which did exactly that.
Yeah.
And I used it for quite a long time. I tend to reference stuff less now because I was always not because I was finding myself disheartened or anything, but just because I ended up I would end up changing the tune a bit much. Do you know what I mean? To like, when in reality it was probably it was you know, it's not going to sound like that thing whatever I do to it because it's a different piece of music. But referencing is definitely useful. You know,
you can take the spirit or the energy out of your song trying to scoop stuff out and emulate someone else's too much when it sort of ruins whatever you've created.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think, like, practically speaking, just mixing's like any other aspect really. You get better the more you do it, and like I think it's kind of every track you do is going to be the best mix you can do, isn't it? Or the best mixed in the best way you can. And
yeah,
I think you'll never have that true objectivity of someone who, like me and you, hearing it, and probably it sounds wicked. I don't know what I'd do to change that really, apart from maybe some of the elements, you know, the dynamic range, if you like, maybe. But
yeah, I really like the end bit with the piano and the pad or whatever it was came in sort of the last 2 minutes in breakcore, because sometimes it's all like glitchy and effectsy, and it's nice to hear like a lovely element in there as well.
I think that contrast works really well with like the insanity of some of the break sections and stuff.
Yeah, because it can be beautiful music as well. It doesn't all have to be kind of crazy.
For sure. It's like I think that is the appeal of it. Actually, is that you've got like these kind of beautiful, long drawn out melodies and stuff over this really complex music and rhythms going on underneath it, and it's like that contrast and like that works so well sometimes.
Yeah, because what sort of BPM is breakcore?
Like 220, 190 up to 220. Yeah, I mean that, because then you start to access the half time, so you get like 110. You know,
which sounds cool. It's like a hip hop or like a fast hip hop half time.
Exactly. Sometimes it's fun to just like set the tempo to like 220 and or just change the tempo of an existing project to really fast or really slow. It's a good little. Yeah. I try it sometimes.
Because I know this Tracker Corpse is from a Discord, from a kind of tracker. I think I'm on it. Yeah. Maybe called Breakcore or something on Discord.
Right.
And they do these kind of compilations every 6 months or something.
Oh, cool! That's cool. Yeah.
So maybe we should enter in the next one and give it a go doing some breakcore.
Yeah. I've never released anything, but I've definitely have made it. Yeah, cool. That was prototype tCORPSE. Mixed questions on that one, but I think we both agree it sounds pretty good. Just keep
I think
practicing.
Overall the mix was great. Actually, it was very full and lots of life in the elements, and it was
keep sounds isolated in the frequency range. Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to musical choice and stuff when you have things playing out. You know, there's some things, if they're in the same frequency spectrum, then you've got to make a choice really about what you want to happen.
You can pan them, you can do what we are talking about before and put one further back with reverb or level, have one more up front, or frequency sort of split them a bit.
Yeah. I think ultimately they all end up collapsing to mono if ever you hear it at a club, or if, I don't know, on phones and stuff sometimes. It's a bit of like a trick, isn't it, really, stereo? I don't know, but I don't want to veer into an area I'm not fully comprehensive with, but...
Well, I guess it works not on a phone, but it works for headphones and monitors and things like that. And probably in your car it works as well, which is where most people listen to music. Probably in their headphones is on like AirPods or whatever it is.
Definitely the car for me. I love listening to my tunes in the car.
So stereo it's not bad to use tricks like that, because I guess most people's like obviously if you're making music strictly for clubs, you've got to be aware of all these mono issues and things that can happen.
Yeah.
Not using ping pong delays and things like that, but
on your bass, on your 808s.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That was tCORPSE from Prototype. Okay, we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more left. So
okay, that's probably about perfect.
Cool. All right. So the next one is Spatial Qualities by Cruzumaki. Hi there, I love your channel, man. You're informative, talented, and have steezy editing skills too. I think this is you, George.
Oh, nice.
This track is the one I'm most proud of in terms of what I wanted to make versus what I actually ended up producing. But I feel as though all my tracks lack texture, groove, rhythm, or that certain something that brings them to the level I'm looking for. I've seen about 10 million of your vids, and the difference I notice is that your songs have such a danceable vibe. Sorry, I'm doing a horrible job of articulating this, but basically I'd love to hear your feedback or any advice on writing catchier bass lines or how to get more creative with melodies.
Okay, cool. This could have been to either of us.
It could have been, yeah. I wouldn't describe my editing skills as steezy, but maybe they are. Well, it depends what we're editing, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Okay, cool. So, Spatial Qualities. Let's roll. That was just turn
Oh.
this off.
Yeah, well, they've all been in slightly different vibes, haven't they?
Yeah. It's got, I'm always kind of amazed at the spectrum of styles actually. Like,
This one was a little bit more dissonant than the other ones, but actually in a good way. I quite like the dissonance there.
yeah,
I said maybe the thing was it could have had a few more. What's the opposite of dissonance? Like consonant
yeah,
or
consonance it is. Yeah, musical
elements
consonance.
to kind of balance it out. I especially thought in the intro it was like had this eerie feeling kind of building,
Yeah,
but then just a little bit more happiness would have balanced out the tune a little bit.
I think that texture and release, tension and release from it was like a Locrian, like diminished flavor.
Yes, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think like you often hear elements like that in, I don't know, any number of D&B producers' tunes, like, I don't know, Dillinger or something like that, and you'll hear these quite like dissonant things, or like Source Direct as well, but they're balanced by a resolution, you know, in another way, you know, something coming back to more of a homely.
Yeah, it's like a call and response between light and dark or whatever it is in your track.
Yeah, and there are many ways to like implement that, be it melody, harmony, or be it texture and everything else. You know, it doesn't always have to be a music, like a harmony thing. It can be like a rhythmic thing or something that you can impart those qualities in your music.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could, like, an interesting thing to do with that could be to experiment with just that and take it to some sort of resolution in the equivalent.
Yeah, maybe just needed
key.
one element in there to help the whole idea kind of like immerse you a little bit more in the tune. But I actually thought the drums were rolling really, because you said the groove and the rhythm was off.
Yeah.
But the drums actually rolling really nicely. They had a cool little crash at the end of the bar. It was really satisfying, and maybe it actually just wanted like a hi-hat layer underneath or a shaker or something, just to have like a pulse element, like an eighth note rhythm.
Yeah, so powerful.
Just to support the kind of break a bit more. Maybe it was just missing like a simple element there.
Yeah, I liked the bass sound as well. I thought that kind of really worked as like a drop and stuff. And like if you nailed that, or if you did that in like the equivalent pentatonic key, whatever key this is in. So if it's like relative, it's modes and stuff, isn't it? Really, so it's probably a bit advanced to think of it that way. But like if you found something that sounded more resolved, or
pentatonic's just cheating, isn't it? It's like the 5 notes that work in a scale. You just take them out and then you can play any of them.
Yeah.
Against like a major or a minor.
Yeah, like either a major pentatonic or a minor pentatonic, and yeah, they're like the building blocks for everything. And yeah, so if you did that bass line in, and nearly all bass lines in D&B and stuff or jungle are pentatonic.
Yeah, even they're almost always like root 5th or root 5th octave, and then maybe a third in there if you're lucky. I'm sure that's in the pentatonic scale as well, which is you're not even using.
It is, yeah.
All of the notes, you know, you're just sort of very limited. Because a lot of the reason is because the harmonies are very static, and so you can't play too out of chord from a music theory standpoint. If you're playing stuff like all up and down the scales, it just sounds crazy unless it's like a fill or something.
Yeah, for sure. Unlike you know, some of the best tunes I can think of are like the bass line's 2 notes or something. Do you know?
Maybe sometimes at the same time, and then you get that wobble effect.
Yeah. And like, I think exploring more of that in this would be cool. So maybe, like, I don't know, you know, music theory is always worth reading about and stuff. I think it can never hurt to have a little bit. But yeah, really cool kind of like dark, unsettling quality to it.
Yeah, if you want a cool trick with a song like this, which is not even it's like the most simple music theory, but one semitone when you're doing your bass lines, just dropping up or going up and down one semitone creates the most dissonant kind of note transition. which would work really well in a song like this. Maybe like a distorted bass jumping out with like just going one semitone different from your root key or whatever it is.
Yeah, man, nice shout. But I thought, some nice elements, nice reverse bass sounds going on as well there in that.
Yeah,
one.
towards the end it sort of transitioned, didn't it?
Yeah,
so it's good. Yeah, it had a good progression to it. It was a really solid tune.
I'd say always keep at it, keep writing more than you know what to do with. Big up Cruzumaki, Spacial Qualities. Nice title. Okay, so Future of Machines is in the chat.
Yeah, he's definitely on my
Yeah, he's a.
I talked to him a lot on YouTube as well, actually.
Yeah, big up Future of Machines for being such an active, stalwart member of the community. Same for RJ Macready and sparchaeopteryx as well, who are always on when I'm live. And yeah, shout out to everyone that follows and checks out our streams. Really appreciate you. So, okay, yeah, where am I with this? So this is quite interesting because it was made with all sounds from our sample pack, George.
Oh, cool.
So, made entirely using samples from the Echoes of Light sample pack in under 2 hours. Future Machines is good at this.
We did a challenge just like that, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I think this was what inspired it. I believe. And I know that like Future Old Machines, probably sparchaeopteryx too, are quite active on my Discord, way more than I am. That is a goal of mine to kind of sort that out a bit at some point this year.
Well, we talked about maybe merging our two Discords together, so it'd be a bit easier to manage.
That's a great idea.
We have a lot of same sort of people.
Yeah, that would be sick, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get on it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just another area to like maintain. You know, it can be quite difficult, but I know that people are really active on there, and it's a great way for others to interact. That isn't just like YouTube comments or something ridiculous like that.
It's a bit easy to have a back and forth with people and share working in progress tracks, and yeah. Discord's a great place actually.
DJ Grace did a similar challenge with our pack, George. I think
that's cool.
Yeah. And okay, Marvin's Dragon. We had one of the breaks was named this. Okay. Whoop.
Yeah, people were really liking that one.
Yeah. A lot of love for that one.
It had a good energy, and I mean, it's just cool, all these sounds that we spent hours and hours making, to see them come to life in other people's work.
I know, it's slightly surreal hearing some of those noises and stuff. In a good way. Yeah, I thought really like the drops in that one. Great use of like the Marvin's Dragon break, I think I called it. But
yeah, that was a great break.
Yeah,
used that one a few times.
Thank you. I think, and it starts with one of yours as well, and probably a grooving in G pad.
Well, I think there was actually two. There were two breaks layered for a part of that.
Okay,
maybe under the Marvin's one.
Yeah. Yeah, a triumph. I like everything I hear from Future World Machines. And yeah, I thought the drop worked really well, and the like the alternative bass thing coming in as well as like a kind of stabby sound, you know.
I'm plugging our pack into the comments of my YouTube. Yeah. A few people did mention that the siren got a little bit repetitive, and maybe it was a case of just developing that lead idea, so it changed. I think in the second half of the tune, it could have you can either sort of layer it or affect it differently, or actually just change the melody a little bit to kind of progress the sound. Yeah,
for sure. I think if Future World Machines, if you're going to work on this again, that would be something to explore. I thought the bass and the drops were delivering.
Had great impact and good sort
simplicity,
of weight, and a lot of the things you kind of take for granted, and but it's had like a professional sound to it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably the quality of the sample pack, George.
Yes, certainly is.
and the tune, obviously.
And the producer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Big up Future World Machines. My cat is actually called Marvin.
What sort of cat do you have?
Oh, no, sorry. That's what Future World Machines has said.
Oh, he was saying his cat. So that's where the name...
No.
Oh, no, because you called your thing Marvin's Dragon Break.
Yeah, it's because it came from, like, I think Newtype has said it, Ooh the Dragon. Was that the break? And it's by, like, Marvin someone or other. And, like, often I'll just take the name of the artist and part of the song title and call it that. So Marvin's Dragon is what it was called.
I love sometimes how you come up with the names of the...
Yeah, man. That's the fun part, isn't it? I think we came up with some good names in the Deep Forest Pad. That was one.
Yeah, Deep Forest Pad was a good one. I had one. My favourite one was like James the Dealer who got nicked, because it started off as James's pad. I think actually James Barles, who was in the chat earlier, I made this pad on a session with him, and then every time I resampled it, I just added like a little bit to the name as well.
Yeah. James the Dealer got nicked.
so there you go.
You want to evoke something, don't you? That just makes the sample seem give you an idea bigger than just the sample. But yeah, Newtype has said Marvin Holmes, Ooh the Dragon. Break from that. And I layered it with a kick and stuff. So
was this when you did?
Yeah, when I was making it.
Sometimes the old breaks just don't have enough impact in the kick, or sometimes even the snare as well.
No, they often don't. And this is like one thing that I've definitely tried to explore more over the past couple of years. Is like, I love the jungle flavor, I love the drum funk flavor, and I love it. I love the D&B thing, and like, you know, D&B you've often got like layered kicks and layered snares and stuff. And when you hear that in jungle as well, and a lot of producers do that, Fracture and I don't know, Sully and everyone else, and just that really nailing that really modern low end with like the kind of retro sound of jungle. I love that feeling. That kind of...
It definitely makes a big difference in club music, because those old breaks, even if you zoom at the waveform, they're all just weird and they're not like a solid sine. So the speaker's just going to have a really hard time reproducing it.
Yeah, that's why the 808 bass works well, you know.
Yeah.
So the pad Future World Machines used is James the Dealer.
Oh, there you go. So you used that pad.
Yeah.
That was my favourite pad from the whole pack. So there you go.
Yeah, and some nice use of effects. Great work, Future World Machines, in 2 hours accomplishing that. Was that like a time limit you set against yourself just to see what you like, just to kind of copy along with what George and I were doing and what DJ Grace did? Interested to hear.
I think it's actually I do almost all my sessions now at 2 hours, like mostly because to preserve my ear health, but also it's such a good amount of time to just have a really strong focus session, like no phones, no internet, no distractions, and just work on music for 2 hours. You can get so much done if you have a productive session.
But yeah, so true. And I'll often do that when I do my initial sketches and stuff in the morning. I never have my phone on or anything, you know.
You can't have any distractions. Here's my website going.
Yeah. I just thought I should put it up here.
Some of the videos, if you have slow internet, I feel they might not. The web page is might not play as well, but I've just stuck with it.
Oh man, it's fine. It's great. There's Marvin.
Oh yeah.
So there we go. Yeah,
you can hear that weighty kick.
Yeah. I think that was probably that layered from something. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes I just like listen back to it and it just doesn't sound cohesive. It sounds too much like a kick and a break, you know.
Yeah, you almost have to do it right at the start of the processing chain. And I know you use snapback as well.
I think I use that here. Yeah.
If you do that at the beginning and then maybe compress it and saturate it and EQ it after the two together, it's almost just like doing those processes. Whatever you end up doing, the decisions you make, because they're acting on both of them, they sort of make it gel together.
Yeah. And that seamlessness is something I love trying to instill. Future World Machines has said, "Do I get a commission now?" Yeah, we'll have to set up a code for anyone who makes a track with it.
Yes, maybe we have to do some prizes. We didn't even.
We have talked about this, and we definitely I reckon we should do that at some point, shouldn't we? With this or maybe a future pack.
Yeah, definitely the next pack we can give out some free.
Do some competitions or something.
Yeah.
Okay. But great tune, Future World Machines. Okay, we're on to the last few now. So press on. If you want to buy the pack, you can get it from George's website, groovingbiz.co.uk. It's there.
There you go.
All right. Let me just close these. Okay, so this is on Bandcamp. No, sorry, wrong one. Only pick this tune if you don't have a lot of other submissions. I think you would enjoy it, but I'm on the experienced. It says I'm on the experienced end of producing. I'm sure there are aspects to talk about though, and I enjoy both of you guys' videos. Have a good one. So yeah, okay, we'll give this. From Denmark. Hey, Mr. Graves. from the bass line, George.
Hey. Got a real nice ebb and flow, isn't it?
Yeah, very nice. Beautiful, I'd say. Headphone track. Wow.
Yeah, that was
Wowzers.
fantastic. It
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
had like movie level soundscape
Yeah.
pads and Atmos.
I want to write music like that.
Yeah, had a really good like depth and sort of some quiet elements, and nothing was really competing too much, but it all sat in this kind of really nice space.
Yeah, totally. I could say that's like an absolute like 5 a.m. tune or something, or day after tune.
Yeah, people were loving this in the chat.
Yeah, masterly, really. I would say. When I was reading the notes from, it could be qloo or qloo. I think you would enjoy it, but I'm on the experienced end of producing. Absolutely, yeah. And like, I thought that was inexperienced when I like a typo or something, but no, that's masterly. A really great voice as well, like musical voice, original, good identity there. Thank you.
Yeah, really complex actually.
Yeah.
Music.
Complex,
but
also
the one thing, if you wanted a bit of feedback, which someone said in the chat, but I did agree, is it could have had a really weighty bass come in every now and again.
Yeah,
like just as for some some depth maybe.
Yeah, it was like it was definitely like someone called it a headphone track, but yeah, I think something like a big kind of drop or something would be. Is that the type of thing you mean?
I think so, but also when people are making music that sounds awesome like that, you kind of just have to respect their vision and just be like, that's whatever they intended it to be. Then it's cool as it is.
Yeah, totally. I think like it's all about having a voice, isn't it? And having that strong voice, and there are elements of this that are taken from that are hallmarks of the genre, tropes of the genre, but also realised in a really nice individual way. And thank you for sharing it with us, qloo.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of there's a Paradox and Seba song called, or maybe it's just a Seba song called Snow.
Yeah,
which goes in a very different direction, which is much more kind of drum and bass, but in the tonality it was quite similar.
Yeah, Seba's probably my favourite D&B producer, I think.
Yeah, one of the unsung heroes of kind of drum and bass.
We used to listen to like the Valley of what? No, it's the Moomins. Is it Valley of the Moomins? I don't know if you know that tune, but
I listened to a lot of Seba, but I don't know that.
I think it was like I think it was just I don't know. Someone could probably put me right on this. But yeah, it was cool. It was like Valley of the Moomins, or my mate always used to put it on after coming back from the club and stuff. Was this, and that's how I first was introduced to Seba.
Because his music back then was quite raw, but it was still so good. Like obviously, some producers when they're even early stages of their career, just making excellent tunes.
Yeah, like the producer series for Good Looking.
Yeah,
the Camouflage, and Camouflage particularly is one of my favourite D&B tunes, or like kind of ambient jungle, atmospheric jungle, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, lovely piece of music.
Yeah, that was an amazing entry, that one.
Cool. So let's press on. Okay, big up Newtype. We're here, and I don't think I've opened this up for some reason. Let me just get this loaded, George. So, okay, we've got some notes here from Newtype. I've played Newtype stuff before. I think you would have heard Newtype as well, George.
I remember because Newtype, it's Simon, isn't it? But he did such a good track for us last time. I remember his entry last time was...
Yeah, absolute fire.
Yeah, we almost didn't have anything. It was so good, we just sort of let it roll.
Yeah. Like, and I'm sure this will be the same, but I know Newtype's got a release forthcoming. I won't mention where or whatever, but maybe you could put it in the chat, Newtype, if you want, if you're able to talk about it, or if you don't have to, we can just keep it on down low. But this track was my first attempt at a techie liquid track inspired by Monroe, Out of Time. Definitely more on the commercial end of D&B, but I'm super happy with the results. Shout out must go to the mix engineer I work with in getting the vocals dialed in. Okay. So, all right, this is Echo by Newtype. I just might need to pull the... I bet this will sound tight, so I'm just going to pull my volume down a little bit. And 1 sec, let's roll. Echo. F this. I'm gonna restart.
I can just refresh the
Sorry, Si. We'll reload it from the top here. Just give me a moment. Because there's nothing worse than that. That's like, being edged musically.
Okay, there we go.
I'll try it on Chrome if it doesn't work.
The light of the day brings memories. It's hard to forget.
Yeah, I guess a reload this one.
Yeah. Well, you need to. Right, sorry, peeps. Sorry, Newtype. I'm going to try it on Chrome, George. Yeah. It's done this before. It did this last time, and it played fine for a long time, and then it just started.
That's a weird technical issue. We're never going to be able to figure out.
I think it's I think it's a SoundCloud thing.
It could be.
Okay. Because am I going to get ads on this now, man? Oh my god. Okay, we'll give it a try.
The light of the day brings memories. It's hard.
First time lucky, yeah. Rewind.
We share our dreams so wild and free. We have nothing to fear. As the stations passed, our time was running out. Our paths will part. Just two strangers side by side. Infinite miles between us. Under the same sky, faded away, whispering goodbye. I can hear you in the dark moonlight. You're an echo in my heart. You're the only one that I need tonight. You were always on my mind. You were the one. You're echo in my remains bitter, sweet pain, a part of me. Where will all this go? I'm lost in a dream. Do you still think of me? As the stations pass, our time was running out. That's will part. And just a stranger side by side. Infinite miles between us.
Like that guitar thing.
Under the same sky, faded away, whispering goodbye. I can hear you in the dark moonlight. You're an echo in my heart. You're the only one that I need tonight. You were always on my mind. You were the one. You're echo in my Under the same sky, faded away, whispering goodbye. I can hear you in the dark moonlight. You're an echo in my heart. You're the only one that I need tonight. You were always on my mind. You were the one. You're echo in my
Lovely.
Wow, his music has come on so well
Yeah.
in the last sort of 2 years.
Yeah, man. I was just thinking the same thing. Because like I guess we've both known Newtype for a while, and yeah, probably at least 3 years, like maybe. For
Yeah.
me. And yeah, it's astonishing, to be honest. I don't know when you knock these out, Newtype, to be honest, because Bit of a dark horse producer, I'd say.
Really professional sound now.
Yeah,
Like club level,
unbelievable.
sort of club ready tunes. You can see it's like even the way it was mastered, you could hear it was so much louder than the other one. So it's like ready to go
Yeah.
and be played out by DJs or whatever.
I think you could send that to Ray Keefe for his like podcast that he does.
Yeah.
I think that would totally fit his vibe. I know people who've had stuff played on there, and this is easily as good, if not better. Lovely chord progression, love all the parts, or like especially that nice little counter melody at the end with that.
It had a finishing sort of end of a story, feel to it.
Yeah, great balance with the vocal.
Mm.
A real song in that,
Yeah, everything had like a purpose in there, and lots of the little things like before a drop, there's like just a little fill or a reverse element, and it wasn't overdone. It was just the right sort of amount.
Yeah, tasteful. I would describe it.
Yeah, it was very
as.
tastefully done.
I think like this is the sound I hear from Newtype is a nice sense of taste and balance. Not overdoing things, but just very good.
Yeah, ready to be double dropped by Andy C main stage somewhere.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like, Newtype. You should definitely. I don't know if it's a regular thing, but I see Ray Keefe all the time on Instagram, like with clips from what looks like a podcast he runs. I don't know if it's like, I don't know. Other people might be able to say in the chat, but he plays loads of liquid stuff like this, along with like the more kind of heavy jungle tunes and stuff, and Reese. Well, this is a kind of Reese tune, really, as well, isn't it? I thought the vocal sounds, great, good find,
good vocals. Sometimes it was like doubled, wasn't it?
Beautiful processing,
breakdown maybe, and lots of kind of good touches there, good production decisions.
Yeah, big up to the mixing engineer as well. So, because
did he say he got Fanu to master his last one or to mix it, or was it someone else? I
think it's someone else, but I don't know. Dreadcast, that's it. Newtype, Dreadcast is the Ray Keefe one. Pretty sure. I think it's probably top secret knowledge that who mixed it, but I know Newtype's linked up with Fanu before and stuff, so but I thought that was another great track from
I think last time we said just keep going,
man,
making more music the same, and I think that message still stands true. For this one,
great chord progression, great good sense of harmony and stuff. Heavy use of the Eventide H3000 on the vocals. Nice. Is that like a pitch shifter reverb?
It's the harmonizer.
Harmonizer, yeah.
I think is that the one that you can put your brakes through? It might be.
It's what Goldie used, isn't it? Like the hardware unit for like
there's
time
that clip of him
stuff
on YouTube being like, I invented time stretching, and he's pitching up a break on one of them.
Yeah,
I'm not sure he didn't invent time stretching, but it sounds good in the moment.
Yeah. No.
It's like real time pitch shifting.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Newtype says it's not Fanu, it's a mate of mine who's a mix engineer. So
the production and the mixing was all
beautiful. Well, I think we'll just do one more, George, because Prototype submitted another one. So as Prototype's already gone, what do you?
Because we've been going for over 2 hours now.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap. So this is by Brave Death 1993. I'm going to try this again on Safari just because I'm logged in and we won't have the chance of ads happening, which has happened before. I'll keep Chrome open just in case. Okay, we've got any comments on this? So this was my first attempt at. Oh no, sorry, I keep doing this. I think this is nearly finished, but I was wondering if you feel there are areas where I need to add anything or sections where you could see the drums being affected, process, filters, etc. Is it boring or does the atmosphere create a vibe it's nice to sit in? How does the balance feel? Does it feel aimless? Could it be restructured, rearranged? There's some more. Does the vibe atmosphere create enough to hang on? What would you do what would you add in the last section? Would you add any effects filtering to the drums? Do you have any other suggestions? So there we go. This is
Cool.
Cold by Rave Def 1993.
That was a good one to finish on.
Yeah, that was. I got some thoughts on that.
Well, far away.
Yeah, so a lot of love in the chat for that one. Saying Photech and no U-turn vibes like that. Yeah, I thought, God, like just thinking back to what Rave Def 1993 said in the tell us a little bit more about your music and stuff and what you're after with this tune. Like I find I can pump out tunes of this. I find it relatively easy to have an idea and get something well along the way and write tunes similar to this or whatever genre, you know.
Yeah.
But that thing that ties it all together or makes it stand out, like a sample or like that, is really hard to find. So, and I think this would like come to life even more with that kind of thing. I think that's all it needs. I think otherwise it's like a banger, really.
Yeah, that last element or whatever it is to tie the whole track together. Sometimes it's a texture in the background or like a hi-hat layer. You never quite know what it is.
Yeah, I thought like the break switching, the bass lines, the atmospheres and like the dissonance was working so well.
Yeah.
It just needs that like kung fu movie sample, but not. I mean, that's cliche now, but like something like that, you know.
It depends how you use it. All the wooden like sword sticks are really cool to mess with, and I love the sort of effects. The breaks had a really cool live kind of feel. Was very paradoxy and photech. One thing that we have heard done really effectively in a few tunes, actually two things, was one to have more of like a silent or a like in the breakdown it still had the bass going, and it could have been even more withdrawn,
yes,
to kind of create this anticipation. And then another section I think it could have really benefited from was just a more stripped back one where it's like just drums, bass and effects, and you just let those things kind of roll and maybe progress all of those in that kind of one, make the breaks even more crazy or do more distorted bass noises or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like someone's, I think it's Hago Vara, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but it said a similar thing about the bass could have switched more. That would be a nice thing to try, I would say. But like the overall mood and vibe of the track, I wouldn't add too much. I wouldn't add anything to it, I think, other than like a really compelling sample,
maybe
if you can find one.
Like a speech, some vocals, something. It could have really be cool there.
Yeah, like it, and it could be something that really just like, I don't know, it adds that like human connection and just take like,
I want to say from like The Dark Knight or something like that. Like Batman, anything.
Or like Oppenheimer or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That just fits the theme.
Something really dark and otherworldly as well, you know. That's or like something from a sci-fi film. I've worked with producers, and I don't know what I'm interested to hear what the chat thinks of this, but like, they just have the best sample libraries of like these film samples and spoken word, really good bits from obscure science fiction films and stuff. And I'm like, when do you have the time to go through and get all this stuff? Like, and not just like obvious stuff from, I don't know, The Matrix or whatever, but some really obscure like 80s science fiction films and stuff. And I'm interested to hear how people get those things if they do use them a lot. How do you you do a lot of that, George, or is it?
Yeah, I do all the time. I use Twisted Wave, which is an audio sampler, and I route my mixer sort of back into my interface, so I can basically just record anything that goes through my computer, and then I've done some like just sample the whole movie. I did
nice.
There's this one called Castles in the Sky, which is an old anime.
The anime, yeah, film. I've seen it.
But it has an amazing sound effect. Source Direct definitely took a couple of clips from there, but I basically just sampled the whole thing, and there's explosion noises and cool like water things, and it actually is just an amazing sort of a bit of sound design.
Yeah.
Ghibli, it just takes time. You just got to have a Sunday afternoon where you just got to sit down with a big cup of tea and go and just find, spend 2 hours finding these samples.
Yeah. Mr. Grooves has suggested a good one that from Blade Runner, those aren't your memories, they're somebody else's, which is what Deckard says to Rachel when she confronts him, I think, about the fact she's an android.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the original Blade Runner?
That's the director's cut. Yeah, Blade Runner. Or I think it's in the normal film, but yeah, she confronts him and says that she's not an android. Well, how about these? You know, I can remember this and I can remember that, and that's what Deckard says to her.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about going out and finding movie samples yourself like that is no one else. You can find ones that no one else has seen or has used, and actually you have to piece together. Maybe you take like a whole 1.5-minute clip, but then you kind of cut and edit it around so it actually makes sense what they say for the piece of music you're making sometimes a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. I've got some suggestions. Mr. Grooves, I play stuff on my tablet into the mixer and capture it on live. Future Machine, there's a website for movie samples. Oh, what is that, I wonder? Ego Vara says fan who preaches that sit down and record from films on YouTube. I do a lot of that as well. I like make playlists and just have that rolling sampler going and then put it in Ableton and tidy it up.
Once you tune your ears to always be on the lookout for these sounds, it's always when you're like lying on the sofa and you're I can't be bothered to get up and go and record this, but I know this is such a good effect, I've got to go and get to my computer and like just sample whatever that thing is.
Yeah. And like I've come to terms with the fact that I'm just going to hear every day stuff that I want to sample, and I'm just not going to be able to do it all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I can live with that. Part of music is like letting these things go a bit. You can't capture everything. But yeah, Mr. Grooves, it's my favourite movie. For sure.
Yeah, sometimes when you have a purpose, like exactly like this track we've just had, you said it could benefit, and then you go and find something quite specific and you just put a bit more thought into it rather than just randomly sort of trolling the internet.
Yeah. Like sometimes it can just be a case of the sample will find you.
True.
Sometimes that takes a long time though, and then if you've got this tune bubbling around in your mind, you're like, I need a sample for it just to bring it to life and make it stand out a bit. Then sometimes you can find it, you know, by accident.
Yeah, music's weird like that, where the one thing that helps you finish a track you've had for a year or two on the back burner is a sample from somewhere, or just an idea that you discover later on that then helps you finish a tune you couldn't do before, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, totally true. And like, that's why it's always a good idea to just keep everything and never bin everything. Save your files, stay organised, because you never know when you're going to find that thing that you're like, yes, that's what I need to do with that tune from 2 years ago that you suddenly remember.
Yeah, it's all part of a journey, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And maybe that's the perfect point to end the.
I think so.
Live stream on.
I think we're going to bring it to a close now, everyone. But shout out to all of our patrons that submitted music.
Yeah, big ups to everyone. There was such good. Every track was like right on the money.
Yeah. Some really good stuff. Hope our feedback was useful on it. And if you want to check out my Patreon, it's always in my description, and I guess it's the same on your channel, George, as well.
Yes, it was.
I think I've linked them. If you want to check those out.
Awesome.
Yeah. But all right. Well, thanks everyone for being on, and we'll say good night then, George.
Yeah, big ups everyone, and we'll be back maybe in a couple of months and do another one of these.
Yeah, for sure.
For anyone who missed out.
I love doing these. Cool. I'm going to end my stream.